What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, April 23rd, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 15:22 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Iran. I wanted to update you guys on the latest with Iran and other major breaking news from around the world. But before I get into that, I wanted to mention that I have a backup Twitter account and it is up and running, and I've been posting updates throughout the day and throughout the night on this Twitter account. Also, I post all of my updates and live streams there. So you got to go to @NYPrepper1, spelled out NYPrepper1. My old account got suspended by Twitter for unknown reasons. I think they were trying to shut me up. Okay, but it's @NYPrepper1, spelled out NYPrepper1, and I'll post a link in the comments down below. But I wanted to just get into the latest breaking news. So we have some very concerning information coming out of the White House. So Trump apparently tried to access nuclear codes but was stopped. According to former CIA analyst Larry Johnson, during an emergency White House meeting recently, the president allegedly demanded the nuclear codes, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, reportedly said no. Johnson made the claim on the YouTube show Judging Freedom. There is no official confirmation of this story, so very, very interesting. And I don't know if Trump was trying to nuke Iran or something and he lost his patience. But speaking of Iran, we have oil climbing back up to $100 a barrel again, up from like $80 a barrel when Trump announced the ceasefire. We're back up to $96 a barrel. And the stock market is dropping again today. It doesn't look like there's going to be any big improvements on the stock market anytime soon. And it looks like oil's going to continue to climb. And we have some major breaking news coming in with military movements. So we currently have 3 U.S. aircraft carriers now in the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility. We have the Gerald Ford now in the Red Sea. That's the aircraft carrier Gerald Ford with its associated destroyers and support vessels. We also have the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group right off the coast of Oman. And now the major breaking news is that the George Bush Carrier Strike Group is off the coast of Madagascar. It went all the way around Africa for some reason, and it did not go through the Strait of Gibraltar, which is very strange. I guess they didn't want to pass it through the Suez Canal and have 2 carriers in the Red Sea, so it went all the way around Africa. So is this the reason why Trump has been extending the ceasefire? Is he waiting for this carrier, the George Bush, to get in position? It looks like it's going to take another 3 days or so for it to reach its final destination here in the Arabian Sea off the Horn of Africa here. Very, very interesting. And for some reason, the Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio were rushed to the White House at the same time this morning. No official statement has been released on the purpose of that. And the Israeli defense minister said Israel is ready for the renewal of the war against Iran. Targets have already been marked. We are waiting for a green light from the U.S. to complete the elimination of the Khamenei dynasty and the replacements of the Iranian leadership. We will return Iran to the era of darkness by striking energy facilities, power stations, and key economic infrastructure. Wow. So guys, is this the reason why Trump extended the ceasefire earlier this week through the weekend to allow for the Bush to get into position to finalize the target package that Israel and the U.S. are going to be striking, to work everything out with Israel to basically rearm and resupply all the U.S. forces in the Middle East before they continue with their final strike on Iran. I think that's what it is. The more I'm thinking about it, this is just my opinion, my speculation, but think about all the munitions that we expended in the first round of this war. I mean, we expended like 50% of our precision strike munitions in the region, like over 70% of our air defense missiles were expended. So we needed to take a pause to rearm, okay? And during all these ceasefire talks and over the last 2 to 3 weeks during the ceasefire period, the U.S. has been moving C-17s every single day down to the Middle East, resupplying all those critical munitions. So I personally believe, now that I think about it, that Trump purposely called for a ceasefire to rearm and prepare for the final strike, okay? And we could see that any day now, but I'm thinking probably this weekend or next week we're going to see the final strike. Maybe even this Friday, tomorrow night, we could see it. But the George Bush has to get into position before they decide to do any big attack. And it's still down here by Madagascar. So, you know, they can only go 35 miles an hour. So, you know, probably will arrive over here near the Arabian Peninsula sometime this weekend, okay? And this update was sponsored by NYPrepper Supply. Guys, NYPrepper Supply is doing a $100 discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com. The link is in the description down below. The normal price for their 3-month kit is $800, and they're selling it for $700. That's $700 for 3 months of emergency food, up to 2,000 calories per day for 3 months, and it has a shelf life of 25 years, all packed within rugged, watertight buckets that don't take up a lot of space. You don't have to worry about rotating anything. You don't have to monitor expiration dates. You don't need a massive place to keep all your food. You can fit all this food in a tiny closet in a studio apartment. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $100 off the NYPrepper Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video. And we have some unusual aerial refueler activity this afternoon. U.S. aerial refuelers are flying over the Saudi Arabia Peninsula, a large number of them. We haven't seen that in a couple of weeks. So that's very interesting and a sign that something is about to go down. And then we also have this aerial refueler here looping in the Gulf of Oman. We haven't seen that in a long time, but look at all of these aerial refuelers here over Saudi Arabia, well over half a dozen. We have not seen this in several weeks, okay, since the peak of round 1. So round 2 is imminent, guys. Get prepared. Want to just read to you what Trump said this morning. He said, "I have all the time in the world, but Iran doesn't. The clock is ticking. A deal will only be made when it's appropriate and good for the U.S., our allies, and the rest of the world." Wow. He also said, "I have ordered the U.S. Navy to shoot and kill any boat, small boats though they may be, all 159 of them, that is putting mines in the waters of the Strait of Hormuz. There is to be no hesitation. Additionally, our minesweepers are clearing the strait right now. I am hereby ordering that activity to continue, but at a tripled up level." Okay, so they're going to start attacking the Iranian gunboats and clearing out mines. And according to the New York Times, the IRGC is now the main ruling force within Iran, as the supreme leader Mujtaba Khamenei has had one leg operated on 3 times and possibly amputated, in addition to surgery on one hand with continual nerve damage and severe damage to his face which limit his ability to speak clearly. Notably, since the start of the war, the generals have taken the initiative due to the length of time it takes for messages to reach Mujtaba Khomeini due to extreme safety precautions and fearing an attempt on his life. For example, it was the IRGC who strategized the attacks on Israel and the Gulf states, closing the Strait of Hormuz and agreeing to the ceasefire with the U.S. So very interesting. Also, we're hearing that the IRGC sidelined the foreign minister Aragachi in favor of the parliament speaker Galibov. So very interesting. And Iran's IRGC released footage of its forces seizing those container ships 2 days ago in the Strait of Hormuz. And Trump denied that the Iran war is tied to elections, saying people say, I want to get it over because of the midterms. Not true. And Netanyahu held a series of security consultations regarding the potential escalation on the Iranian and Lebanese fronts. Okay, so that was today. Netanyahu holding security meetings on Iran and Lebanon. Big red flag right there. And last night and today, Iranian media outlets have reported that air defense drills are underway in several regions of Iran. Okay, so obviously Iran is expecting something to happen. They've been doing air defense drills all night last night through today. There was also activity of U.S. Fighter jets and Israeli fighter jets over Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq. There were also reports of missile launches in Kuwait. So both sides are getting ready, guys. They're warming up. They're like two boxers getting ready to fight. They're in the warm-up rooms with their coaches right now, okay? And according to a release from the U.S. Central Command, 31 vessels have been redirected as part of the blockade on Iran. And the White House said the 3 to 5 day deadline on the ceasefire is not true. Trump has not set a deadline for Iran, adding that the timing of the ceasefire extension will be determined solely by Trump. Okay, so it's all in Trump's hands. And the White House said Iran must turn over the enriched uranium that's in their possession, so they're not backing down from that. And U.S. Navy Secretary Josh Fallon was fired with no reason given. And a Dutch military intelligence assessment says Russia is preparing for war with NATO and could be ready for confrontation within a year after the Ukraine war ends. It added that Russia is unlikely to launch any NATO conflict while the Ukraine war continues, but is actively building long-term readiness for future escalation. Okay, so it's gonna happen, guys. We're gonna see a war between NATO and Russia. And the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, said Ukraine will build its own anti-ballistic missile capabilities because it cannot rely on the U.S. He added that the U.S. produces only 60 missiles per month and that they expended 2 years' worth of air defense missiles in 24 hours during the opening days of the Middle East attack. He said that Ukraine will build a strong independent system intertwined with Europe. So very interesting, major shift in policy there. And another refinery was hit in Russia by Ukrainian drones. It is apparently on fire now, located roughly 800 kilometers from the border of Ukraine. Wow. And the Trump administration moved on Thursday to reclassify marijuana under federal law, which could significantly expand scientific research into the drug's medical uses. The change would not legalize the drug at the federal level, but shift cannabis from its current status as a Schedule 1 narcotic to a Schedule 3 narcotic under the US DEA's Controlled Substances Framework. So that is huge news, guys, because by reclassifying it, basically lowering the seriousness of it, okay? A Schedule 1 drug is like, hard drugs like meth or cocaine, okay? So they've now dropped it down to Schedule 3, much lower, All right, so that has huge implications across the board. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with another update. I was supposed to do a show with KLW World News, aka inventor Lee Wheelbarger. We're supposed to do it tonight at around 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to fly over with a flight simulator over Poland and the Baltics, and we're going to look at the Russian military buildup along the border of Poland and the Baltics, and then we're going to look at Poland's fortifications that they've been building along the border with Russia. And then after that's over, I'll do a live update and live coverage. But make sure you guys are subscribed. Hit the bell notification down below to turn on all notifications. Download my free app. It lets me send out notifications directly to your phone when there's major breaking news and when I go live. Also, follow me on my backup Twitter account. That's at NYPrepper1. I'm going to leave a pinned comment down below. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.